Hey, welcome back to SureFire Live. Hope you guys are doing well. It's been a little midsummer break. I've been able to take some vacations and do some traveling, and now I'm kind of back, being able to be back at it. It's good to be back. It sounds crazy, but sometimes too many days away from work kind of gets a little bit for me anyway. It makes me want to get back to work after a while. So anyway, it's good. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. I've been kind of on this theme a little bit of working with the willing, and I did a podcast on it and I posted on Chimney World. And a person that I like a lot, Cy Wakeman, who is an author. I actually talk about her in my book that I wrote several years ago. And she's got a book called Reality-Based Leadership. And if you're looking for some really good leadership topics, she is excellent at it, I think. So with that being said, I wanted to update you on a couple of things. Thank you for everyone who signed up for the Accelerator program. We've filled the slots up with new people, and with that new program that we launched, more of an intensive SureFire, more of an intensive group, kind of like a mixed group, but Zoom and a lot of input. And it's been great so far. There's the people that have been involved have been very active and helping us do some things. So thank you for that. And if it works, we may start another accelerator group down the road, but we got to make sure this one is good and off to the right thing and everybody gets value out of it. So thank you to everyone. I'm looking forward to getting that started. Secondly, with Chimney Safety Institute of America, we just had our annual board meeting. It was great. A lot of really cool stuff coming down the pike that we'll talk about later. But, if you're a certified chimney sweep, our numbers are up. Everything is up, and everything is up and doing very well. Our schools are full. Our classes are being taken. Online's being taken. A lot of people through SureFire continuing to grow. So all those are good things. And if you need anything from CSIA, Tommy Nelms is the president, and he is fantastic. He's a great leader, and he's a great connector, and he takes action. And so, plus we have a new executive director, Bill Wald, and Bill is on fire. Bill is fully committed to CSIA, and he's come from a very different background, but man, this guy is talented, and he's got a lot of ideas, and he's moving full force, full speed ahead. So all good stuff there. So welcome. Hey, it looks like our crowd is growing, and I am looking at some chats. If you guys say hi, the comment section is open. Please say hello. Tell me what you guys have been doing this summer. Last couple months, I've been doing some things. I'll do a quick update. COVID put a couple of my lifelong plans on hold. Some things I'd really wanted to do for a very long time. They were booked, and then COVID stopped them. And then one of the main things is I always wanted to ride a motorcycle all over Europe. And of course, that would take a long time. But basically, I signed up for a tour of 15 days through Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and Italy on a motorcycle with another group of guides. My wife was with me too. And we saw it was the most amazing motorcycle riding I've ever done in my whole life. And I've ridden most of my life. And it was super fun, and highly recommend if you like motorcycles, if you can do it over there. It was very technical riding. One of our guys wrecked a couple times, and he'd ridden for 10 years. So very technical riding. But it was, the sights were amazing. The food was great. I want to do it again. I'm going to do that exact tour again, maybe a couple different places. And then we got to go to Maui for some scuba diving. And the coolest thing I've ever done diving happened on the last day of diving. We dove with, it was a night dive with manta rays. And they said, you go down and you may not see any manta rays. Normally you see one or two. So that was the expectation. We dove down. They put this rock ring under, about 35 feet down out of rocks. They built it up, and they put these lights down there, lights are shining up, and they're attracting all the plankton, right? And then, so that's what the manta rays feed on. These manta rays are 8 foot to 12 feet wide, so they're big animals under there. Well, we're sitting there and nothing's happening for a little bit, and there's a lot of divers around a circle. We're all just sitting there. We have our lights up by our head because you don't want the light down here because the manta ray could, coming after the krill could, or the plankton could hit you accidentally. They're very gentle animals. So you keep your light up here or you keep the light down. There's always big lights in front of us. Well, in a couple minutes, here comes a big manta ray just cruising through. And it was just so exciting to see one just cruise right through the middle of everybody. And we're like, cool. And then he made a big turn and came back, and then he was gone. So we're waiting a couple minutes, and then he comes back and another one. And then at one point there was 3. And these things are they come right over your head. They come right between you, but they don't touch you. And you can't reach up and touch them because you could hurt them. You could, they have a protective layer on them. And if you touch them, it could give them an infection or hurt them. So if you reached up and touched them, they pulled you right out, and they would pull you out of the water and put you back on a boat. So you have to keep your hands down. And then nothing, like 5 minutes or more of nothing. They were gone. I'm like, oh man, that was cool, but I've still got a lot of air left. We're gonna be down here for a while. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 15 manta rays came in this circle. It's like they rang the dinner bell. And it was the most amazing 30 minutes of my life of just huge animals all around feeding. They were chest bumping and flipping over, and it was exciting. And so when we got done, the dive master said that was probably the first or second most they'd ever seen at those night dives. Come to find out, the next night, my friend Jim Brewer dove the next night, and he said there was even more the next night. So absolutely fantastic. And lastly, then I had a CSIA meeting in Poland for the European Chimney Sweep Federation over there. We're the U.S. delegates to represent the U.S. chimney industry in Poland, and they were super sweet. It was nice. There was obviously a lot of countries there, and I'm going to talk about what they talked about here in a minute. And then lastly, we went to Croatia, and if you can ever go to Croatia, go there. If you can get a cheap flight, the cost of everything over there is a little less expensive than the U.S. So it'd be like a vacation anywhere here. The people speak English perfectly. The food is great. It's beautiful. It's like Italy, but cheaper and less people there. So I loved Croatia, and definitely going to be going back. But I do want to talk about what we saw happening over in Europe. And every time I travel to Europe, I realize how much I love America too. I mean, they have a lot of great things. They do a lot of things better than we do. On an individual basis, there's some things that are definitely better, sometimes smarter. But as a whole, especially for entrepreneurs and business, and it's hard to beat the U.S. And I want to just say something, and maybe some of you don't like it. And I bet most people would agree with me, but this push for green energy and this push for all electric, is very dangerous. When I went over there, now Germany has been leading the way, right? Leading the way, solar, wind. They're getting rid of coal fire. They're getting rid of fossil fuels. They're getting rid of nuclear. And man, they are paying the price. They were on the bleeding edge of green, save the planet. And they still need natural gas. And what's happened? They've been too reliant on that. And now their source of natural gas is shutting them off. And they are absolutely panicked. It's the most scared I've ever seen the German people. They have to reduce energy usage by about 90% is what they were talking about. All the chimney sweeps over there are now having to learn how to work on heat pumps. And chimney sweeping is, they have cut off, wood burning and all that, or they did. And so they were all having to switch to electric, and all the chimney sweeps are now, they call them Warman pumpins. And so forgive my terrible German accent, but that's what it was. And so with that being said, we do not need to follow that. We do not need to follow them off the cliff. It is not going to change anything with the environment. It is not. We are on a dynamic planet. The planet has to heat or cool. It does not stay the same. And for us to think it's like a thermostat where we reduce some small gases and it's going to reduce that is absolutely ridiculous. And that's a whole nother comment. And I'm a chimney sweep, not an environmentalist, but I don't believe it. I believe that big red ball in the sun in the sky has the most to do with it, and this Earth on its axis and rotating has a lot to do with it. And this planet has to heat or cool. It just has to. And I think we're in the middle of the beginning of a heating cycle. A lot more people die from cold than they die from heat. So I think we're good. Anyway, Judith, hello, Judith. Hi there. I see some comments on my phone, some comments out here. Judith is in my entrepreneur organization group, and she's a fantastic lady. So I'm glad she's watching. All right, so let's talk about work with the willing. That's my topic for tonight. Again, this is open conversation. Say hi to me, talk to me, tell me what you think about what I'm saying. If you disagree with me or you agree with me, that's what this is about. And I need some input from everybody. All right, so let's talk about it. It's a concept that I don't think I've been very good at. I've tended as a leader to work with the ones, I pay attention to the ones who are the most problems, right? I'm going to show you a video, and then I think I'll just talk about it to show you where I'm coming from. So let me share the screen. This is Cy Wakeman, and so I'm going to play it here.
I got very clear that one can only work with the willing, even at home. Now, there was a point in my life where I had 4 sons and 4 stepsons, all within 10 years of age. We lived on a lake. We all loved wakeboarding. The minute the ice was out of the lake outside of Omaha, Nebraska, the boat was out and the Sunday drill began. Here's the drill. I announced that I will take people wakeboarding. And the process is pretty standard. You've got 15 minutes to get water, sunscreen, a towel, and your wetsuit, still pretty cold, on and get your butt in the boat. Here's how much effort I give on Sunday wakeboarding. I get myself something to drink, I grab the boat keys, and I walk down to the dock, start the boat, and drive away. I'm looking for a good Sunday. 7 of the 8 kids got their sunscreen, got their water, got their towels, put on the wetsuits, went down to the boat. One of the kids was still with me in the kitchen and started to ask me some questions. Mom, I'm trying to decide when I want to go, and I'm just wondering, are we going to eat your crappy bologna sandwiches, or are we going to stop at Subway? Now, I am a good leader. I'm like, no, we're eating bologna sandwiches. Can we listen to my playlist? Can we listen to Wiz Khalifa, or do we have to listen to your music? And like, it's tradition. We listen to Barry Manilow every Sunday. He went on, and I felt like I was doing a great job saying, no, 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 no. Boy, I was really parenting until I looked down into the boat and saw 7 kids sweating in their wetsuits that weren't yet wet, going like this. And I realized I had been a horrible parent. I immediately said to my son, I am sorry, I've done a horrible job parenting you right now. If you choose to be a parent, don't do this. I needed to have said, I'm sorry, 15 minutes are up. I'm going to go work with the willing, the ones in the boat, and you may not come. You didn't make the time limit. Next week, I made the call, and 7 kids did the drill, went to the boat. I was better, got the keys, drove off, phone rang. The one son said, Mom, where are you? I said, we're out in the boat. It's a beautiful day. He said, well, I wanted to go wakeboarding. I said, well, where are you? He goes, well, I'm in the kitchen. I go, oh, it's going to be so hard to wakeboard there. Fast forward to the 3rd Sunday. Guess whose butt was in the boat? Or not. No longer my decision. What I started to do is set the standards and work with the willing, the people that stepped up, instead of trying to negotiate with the unwilling and make compromises and beg them, if I take you to Subway, will you come? Because it inconvenienced the 7 people sweating in their wetsuits who had complied. And it sent the wrong message as a parent.
Man, isn't that good? I mean, gosh, I hope that speaks to you like it does to me. I made another note from that, and I said, negotiate with the unwilling. Like that, I think of anything that I would fail as a leader would be, I would try to get everybody on the boat, and I would make the boat wait for those who were not getting on the boat. At whatever reason, whether it be an attendance policy or a commission structure or a big rechange or anything, there's the majority of the group are there waiting, like, cool, let's go. And then there's this group go, well, but wait, I don't agree with that. I want to do this and I want to change that. And I've been lack at focusing on getting everybody on board as a good leader and making sure everybody understands so everybody comes along. And that being said, if any of my employees are watching right now, we're going through some of those times where we've had to make some changes in some hard areas because of because our costs are going up. Everything is going up underneath us in a way that has never happened before. And we've had to make some hard changes, choices, making things harder. It's definitely harder now to run a business than it ever has been. So sometimes I got to pass that on to the weight of everyone. And there's some people that are, still on the shore or fighting it. And I will set the rules, and I'm this particularly, this helps me understand that I have to work with the willing, and not everybody is always going to be willing, especially back to being dynamic. If you're a dynamic business, things are always changing, right? And business is dynamic. If you think it's ever going to stay the same, just like our planet, it's not going to stay the same. If you aren't changing and pushing through other levels, you are going to go backwards or cool down. And for us, we're adding a lot of new things. We're adding some new software. We're adding new commission structures. We're adding new software that helps us run our business. And everybody has to learn all this new stuff. And to that point, I put a thing on our schedule that says we're going to do onboarding for this new system next week. And a lot of guys did not know what I meant by onboarding. I'd never really used that term. I'd been saying that term a lot with my whole group as we're building an onboarding process for all of our new employees. And I've been saying onboarding a lot, but I haven't really been saying it to all the guys in the field. And one guy said, man, I got to tell you, I really don't know what you mean by onboarding. We're going to spend a whole day onboarding. It sounds kind of scary to me. I'm like, oh gosh. Okay. And then another guy said, I didn't want to say anything, but I didn't know what you meant either. And another guy, there's three guys, none of them knew what I was even talking about. So I said, that's my fault as a leader. I assumed you knew what I was talking about and you didn't. Or they didn't. So I've got some more work to do. Leadership is always that kind of a hard game of what you think people know, what you know, and what you think they know, and what they think they know is different. And it's always one of the biggest challenges I have as a leader, especially as the company grows with more and more employees. But that being said, I'm not seeing too many questions. There's going to be some people. I'm going to be mad about it. Okay, so Rachel, so Susan, I see some down here on my phone, not on the screen. Susan Rainey, she was the one who sent me that link initially for that, and I've been going off on it because she loved it. She's one of them that's in the boat, right? She jumps in the boat. She's full on, and then she's pointing, going, "Hey, why are you spending so much time on them that aren't in the boat?" And then you end up spending all your time on these people where you really need to turn it to those who are willing, helping, putting stuff together, like, hey, okay, I get it. I get why we have to do it. Let's go. And so thank you, Susan, for sending me that. I got one from Rachel, says natural consequences teach lessons of their own, which is, that's a good one. So that's actually sister-in-law as well. So the sister-in-laws are on. And Rachel's a good mother. She has a way with her kids to help them understand consequences very quickly. And I've always been impressed with her ability to help her kids understand that if you don't do what I'm going to say, there is a consequence, right now. And she's very quick about it. And so I think her husband calls her the general. That being said, I have to say some good news. I forgot about this. My brother made colonel today. He's been lieutenant colonel for a while. As you know, he was major stoner for a while, but he got a Senate approval and made colonel today. So it was super cool that he got that in a lifetime service in the military, and super cool that he was awarded that. So okay, so let me see more. See a few people watching here. Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching. So, hey, JR, how are you doing? JR White. He's got the best sunglasses in the chimney game always. Okay, so that's about as all. So I got some congratulations from people for my brother. So yeah, super cool. He deserves it. He and I are very similar in some ways. If you heard us talk, you think we're the same person, but we act very differently. I think I'm way more on the laid back side. He's way more on the military side. But he's a partner at PricewaterhouseCoopers. So he's got a corporate job, and he's been in the reserve for a long time and made it all the way through. He went through Army. He's an Army Ranger. Then he went through flight school. Then he went through like all kinds of different schools, and he just finished War College, I guess a couple months ago. And once he finished War College, he made colonel. He said that War College was the hardest thing he ever did in his life, the hardest school he was ever through of all the schools. He's got a master's degree and everything. He went down one path. I went down a completely other path. He went down military. I went down music. He wound up corporate all the way through, and colonel. I wound up business owner and, kind of entrepreneurial path. So we're very different in that, but we look at things a lot alike. So anyway, congratulations to him. All right. So that being said, I'm about 30 minutes in, and I was hoping to have some more on work with the woman, but I'll keep going. One of the things that as you start to grow is you get what they call sacred cows in your business. You get these people or these systems in your business that can't be moved, can't be questioned, can't be touched. And some of those sacred cows are also the ones who push back the hardest when you're trying to make changes. And sometimes in business, like it is for me right now, sometimes those sacred cows can't hold you back. And I've been in several situations, not just with my business, but on boards and other things, where there is a person or a system in place that everyone believes has to stay the same, but it's actually the thing that's holding you back. A lot of times it's people. A lot of times it's people that have given you good years. They have worked very hand in glove with you and gone through a lot of battles with you and fought a lot of fights with you to a point. And then they come to a stopping point of, this is all I'm willing to do, or I've done all this, or I have all this, that I've done for you, and I'm not willing to go there. And that becomes a problem in business. And I've said this before, like, I remember speaking to one of my managers that's not with us anymore. And she said, at one point we were probably a $10 million company at the time. And she said, I liked it better when we were 3 million. And I knew right then when she said, I liked us better when we were 3 million, that her rubber band was over. She was done growing. She wanted to shrink it down. And whenever you hear that from employees or managers that they liked it better when you were smaller, it's a warning sign that they're about out of ability to keep moving and changing. And that becomes, I've learned to listen for that a little bit, because we had problems back then too, right? We had problems back at all the different sizes. There were always these problems. But what I watch for is, how are people's incomes? How is their free time? How is the overall temperature of the business? How is, everybody's not always going to be happy. Everybody's not always going to be doing the same. We're not a equity-based business. We don't make everybody be the same. We're built on production. Like, the more productive you are and the more helpful you are, the more money you make. Recently, to put my money where my mouth is, we always had this thing called Motivational Mondays. And it's really, we talk about who helped each other the most. It's not about sales. It's about who reached out and did over and above something they didn't have to do to help the team. And I really wanted to promote that as something that I wanted our company to be about. And we always gave like a $300 or $400 prize every quarter to whoever. Like, we asked who helped each other for Motivational Monday, and people would call out people in front of everybody. Hey, this person helped me, and we would cheer them or thank them, and we would have tick marks about who helped each other the most. Kind of went, not just doing their job, but over and above their job. And so there was always certain people that kind of tend to always win it or are always in the race. And there's some people that never help many people, and they're never on the list. So I wanted to really foster that. So whenever you want to foster something in your business, you put your money where your mouth is. So I said, you know what? I'm going to change it to $1,000 cash bonus every quarter to whoever helps each other the most, and whoever's number one on the, on the list. Now you can't put your own name on it. You can't say I'm helped other people. Other people have to nominate you. And it's exciting. And I think I saw Rob Cripps. He's one of our guys, and he was watching earlier. And Rob came out of the gate smoking. Like, in one day, he helped me. He helped my daughter late night one night when she dropped her phone at a restaurant, and her phone went down between a booth, but the booth was not movable, and it went down between and underneath the booth, but it had wood trim and everything. About 9 o'clock at night, she's like, Dad, I've lost my phone, and I'm in the middle of this restaurant. I can't get it. She sent it from a friend. And Rob, I sent a message because I was going to have him go the next morning. Rob thought I meant right now. Rob jumped out of his house, ran downtown Nashville, freaking pulled the trim off that thing, got her phone out all in one night after working all day. And then I found out he did another thing for somebody else, just absolutely above and beyond. And so that's what we need as a company. Recently, if you watch my Facebook, we also received an award for top workplace in Tennessee. It's a survey. It's a culture survey for your employees, and they send it all out to your employees, and they fill it out, different culture exercises. And then if you get a certain score, you get to be top workplace in Tennessee. Well, we've won it 4 years in a row. And to me, that says, as much as anything, profitability or anything else, if our culture is good and our employees say this is one of the top workplaces, that is a win in business. And ideally, you can take that team and do a lot with it. And there's a lot of trust that your teams have to have for you to be able to change the business a lot. And like right now, I told you we're going through some big changes, and there's some pushback, which there almost always is pushback. When you start to change things, people push back. It's totally natural. But they also have to trust you. And if they don't trust you, that's where you've lost everything. If they don't trust the process and trust why you're doing things, that's why people won't follow you, is because they don't trust. They don't trust that where you're taking them is better than where they are now. Right? That's the problem. People don't mind change. It's the way we change them. It's the way we try to change them. So with that, again, they believe what they have now is better than what we're telling them it's going to be in the future. And I can't tell you it's always going to be better. Sometimes I have to steer the ship just to avoid the iceberg, and it's not better because I steer the ship and everybody falls over. It's not as comfortable as it was when we were just cruising. Right now, we're having to steer the ship so we don't hit an iceberg with profitability and all the crazy things that are happening in business. Hey, Bill, good to see you, man. Bill says great stuff. Bill and the company he works with, Wolfman Chimney, just came through my Blue Collar University, spent 2 days at my shop, and I work with them individually as a company, and they've got a great company over there. They're going to do some great things, and Bill was a true pleasure to get to spend some time with. Let me see. I think I've got some more. Make sure I've got so Susan says, way to go, Tim. That's my brother, Tim Stoner. So, okay, I've caught up on these things. All right, so What do you guys think? Do you guys have sacred cows in your business? Do you have, I can tell you this. I've had people before say, you know what, Mark won't fire me or get rid of me because I bring too much money in. I'm too valuable. I can tell you what, that is a death knell for you. If you ever feel like that in my company, it's not about the money at all. It's about how you work with people and how you help everybody. And yes, money's important, but it's not the most important thing. I've told this story before that this one guy I worked with had a sacred cow in his business, and it was his head installer. His head guy was the main money maker. He was also trained the people, and but he was very abrasive. He was great in the field, but to work with him, everybody was kind of scared of him. Everybody didn't like him. He even threatened the boss to fight him. And so in this meeting, almost everybody in the company, when we were working with him, said, this guy's got to go. And I think even to the point of some kind of sexual harassment, like claim, but even if it wasn't that, the guy had to go. And since it was that, but this business owner didn't want to get rid of him because he's like, man, if I get rid of him, I'm going to have to get back on our truck and do all the work. If I get rid of him, we're going to lose a lot of revenue. And we've got a lot of jobs on the books. And if we get rid of him, we're screwed. And I said, so let me get this straight. I said, if I bring you enough money, if I make you enough money, you'll put all of your integrity to the side. You'll put all of your goodwill and all of your leadership to the side. If I make you enough money, I can really do anything and you'll keep me employed. Is that how this works at this company? And he looked at me for a second and goes, you're right. He goes, and he called the guy within 5 minutes and fired him. And because he knew I was right. And sometimes in our mind as business owners, we justify things or we worry about what's going to happen when we lose one of our sacred cows. I can tell you this, almost 99.9% of the time, it's better when you let them not work with, they're not going to be one of the willing to work with you, and they're holding their ground. It's almost always better. I can tell you, I could just name time after time after time that it was better when we lost one of the people that was holding us back, not helping the team, a big problem. But I mean, I know the feeling, because not only that, you got time with this person and they're your friend sometimes and you like them and you don't want to see them. They fought a lot of battles with you, right? And they kind of stop fighting, because everybody doesn't stay great. And also a lot of times everybody doesn't stay bad. I've had several of my leaders now didn't jump out of the gate as a leader. They didn't start off super fast. And there's a couple of them that I would have never thought would be leaders, but are leaders as they got better, as they got used to it and they started to realize who they were internally, became our leaders. But they don't wave their hand, hey, I'm a leader. They're more reserved in the back, and you kind of have to notice them. A lot of times when people are good leaders, they don't volunteer because they know they'll do it all the way and they don't want to add more to their plate. They're not necessarily the ones saying, put me in, coach, because they're the ones that are going to get it done. And they're not looking for any accolades. And to me, those are the best leaders. What else we got here? Let me check these. Susan says they also have to remember the ham they ate in the fat times, and while they're eating the spam in the lean times. Yeah. So, right. But people don't remember. They don't remember the good times. They don't remember how good they've got it. I always, it's a thing of, like, I've been in the chimney business for 37 years now. I mean, I've been in it a long ass time. And I can always say, well, back then we had to do this and we worked 14 hours a day and we did this and we didn't make any money and we all did all the stuff. That doesn't help anybody. And it doesn't help them. It doesn't put them into your shoes. And it also doesn't make them appreciate what they have. I wish they would. I wish me telling them how bad it used to be would make them realize how good they've got it. It doesn't work that way. It only works that way if they lose what they've got. And to Susan's point, they'll remember the ham when they're eating the spam. Spam's pretty good though, actually. But they sometimes they quit, and sometimes they're like they won't go through that dip. They think the life and everything always has to be always getting better, and they won't allow for the dip. They won't allow for the natural, changes in business sometimes, or the natural fluctuation in things. They're only along for the ride as long as it's getting better. And as soon as it dips down, they're off the ride. And that's fine. I mean, my job is to try to make the ride as smooth as possible with as few dips and craziness as I can do. But I'm not superhuman, and I can't control all of the inputs in a business. Sometimes I just have to react to the road that's in front of me, and I have to steer and hit the corner. Everybody wanted to go straight, but sometimes you can't just keep going straight. It's just not going to work. You're going to hit the curb. So, I to her point, I wish people could understand how good they've got it. I remember one time some guys were complaining about a change I had to make, and I was pissed. I was so pissed. I slammed doors. I tried to break doors because I was so mad at them for acting like children. I said, you guys act like like kids that grew up in a mansion, and you have had everything laid out for you. And, uh, and now you're going to revolt because you haven't got the latest, PlayStation 5 thing, or the latest game, or the latest little cherry on top of all the good things you have. You're gonna do this, rebel. Because one of the guys was gonna start his own chimney business because I made this small change in commission. He's like, I'm gonna start my own thing. And he started talking to a bunch of my employees. So that's how he started to like try to recruit some of my best guys to start this other chimney company. And I found out about it. So then I pushed out a non-compete on him to flush him out. And he sure enough, it flushed out. And he was in business for a year and a half. And then I bought his equipment back from him for pennies on the dollar. But and then he's building houses, which is fine. But I remember just being so mad that they had it so good and have such good things that they couldn't appreciate. So for me now, I'm not in the protection game of people. I'm not in the realization game. If you don't realize what you've got and you're willing to just start over, go do something else, I'm not going to stop you. I'm going to work with the willing. I'm going to work with those like Susan and like several of the other people that are really, understand that I have to make changes, and we all have to be a good team to move forward. What challenges are you guys running into? I see Jonah watching. I think a lot of people are running into this challenge that I'm running into, because people are quick to jump ship when things are going wrong. But owners, a lot of times, if you care, you're not quick to cut people when stuff are bad. You're not quick to cut things when things are going right. You try to hang on too long because you feel a commitment to them. But I can tell you, on the other side, when you really see who your friends are and who your real loyal people are, is to go through a bad time with you, to go through a hard time with you, to gut it out when things aren't good, when they don't taste as sweet, they're spam like and not ham like, when they're not good. That's who who's got your back through this stuff. And there's a guy that works with me. He's been with me. He's my longest term employee, 15, 16 years. And he was there when I had to lay everybody off, when I didn't make the hard choices, and when I didn't do all the hard stuff. And I had to, in 2008, some of you know the story, but I went back to working by myself. I was a 17-person company. I had done about everything wrong. I collapsed back down to one person. Me and my 14-year-old son got out there and did all the work and built it back up. But at the time when I had to let everybody go, this guy was working for me, and I had to lay him off. And I brought 5 people back when I was rebuilding the company. There were 5 of the 17 that were really key to building it back up. And he's one of them. He's still with me. He's seen a lot of ups and downs, and he's learned a lot through the process. And he's one that has my back, ride or die. He's there. I'm not saying he's going to be with me forever. Hopefully he is, but he will go through the ups and downs and learn from it and be better from it. And so, And I feel like I have those people, but we'll see. If it goes through a hard time, we'll see who sticks around. But that's about all I have today. I'm going to start doing the SureFire Lives every week. So hopefully you guys will tune in. I have different topics that I have lined up to go every night and different guests. One of the guys that I met recently sells businesses, and I think it might be interesting to have him on here as a guest as well as my podcast to talk about what it looks like to sell your business if you're in that. Because I notice a lot of, even on Facebook, a lot of guys getting out of the business, trying to sell their business, and it doesn't have any value, or they're just shutting the doors after a lifetime of work, and they're trying to sell it like at the end, and nobody wants to buy it. And one of the reasons is it wasn't really prepped for sale. It wasn't really prepped to be valuable to anybody else. And I think sometimes that's a surprise to people. And so this gentleman, Garnet is his name. That's what he does. So he's a young guy too, super sharp, but I met him at an IndyCar race, and I think he'd be a great guest. So I'm going to have him on pretty soon. All right, guys, that's about my time. Make sure there's no more questions. Got a nice little group here. And then Mike says, would love to hear from both angles, buying and selling. That's a good point, Mike. Mike Fazy, he was down with us in Hawaii. He and his Shannon was with him, and a girlfriend Shannon, and they were super fun. My daughter was there, and she had never met Mike and Shannon before, and she's like, I like those young people that are with us, because it was me and Jim Brewer and a bunch of us older guys, and then Mike is quite a bit young. Mike and Shannon are a lot younger than us, and so my daughter was happy to have some young people on the trip instead of all of us old people. So thanks, Mike. Yeah, I think we will talk about the buying and selling, because he does both of that. And that's a great idea, Mike. So we'll have him talk about it. All right, guys, that's my time. Thank you for joining us again. Good to be back. And we will talk to you next week. See you. Bye.